Hello and welcome into the PHLY Eagles halftime show reaction show. Seems a little redundant, but it's presented by our friends over at Bet365. Find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use promo code PHLY365 to sign up. Fran, I can already predict what Bo is going to be like coming in here for the postgame show, and rightfully so. Tanner McKee is clearly better than Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. I mean, outside of both head coaches understanding the assignment and getting us through that first half in like 80 minutes, nobody's been more impressive than Tanner McKee. So I think that when you look at McKee's performance so far, he's had a couple misfires. But overall, I think when you look at the accuracy, the timing, the rhythm, he's getting the ball where it needs to. He's playing point guard for this offense. This is what we kind of expected a Kellen Moore offense to look like coming into this season, right? We expected motion. We expected play action. We expected some of the quarterback under center. And this is what we've seen so far from McKee in this offense.
So is this what Kellen Moore envisions of the Eagles offense? And what we see with Jalen Hurts is a slightly more tailored to what Hurts does well offense?
I think that's when you get into the discussion of like, what does your quarterback like to do? What is he more comfortable with? What does he feel best in? And I think what you're seeing with McKee, it's been more, all right, we're going to lean into more what he feels comfortable with. And look, so far, it's paying off. Now, obviously, you don't have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. It makes you wonder what it would look like with those guys out there. But look, he's making chicken salad today, man. I mean, he's doing a really nice job getting the ball where it needs to, letting those guys go out and make plays.
So, look, I'm just an idiot that has a microphone in front of him. My original thought process watching Tanner McKee is you got to shop Kenny Pickett, right? Do you think Tanner McKee has shown you enough, in albeit a small sample size, that he is a viable backup quarterback in this NFL?
For sure. Yeah, I think so. I think you've seen enough from him. And honestly, you may have felt that way coming into the season, right? But you still want to make sure you're backfilling and give yourself competition.
The Eagles believe in the backup quarterback.
No question.
Nick Foles, case point A, why.
So you want to make sure that, because remember, in that season, you had Chase Daniel, in 2016 rather, you had Sam Bradford, Chase Daniel, Carson Wentz, right? So you had three viable options
quarterback
going in, and that is going to be the mindset at all times. And so I think when you look at it, I didn't hate the decision to trade for Kenny Pickett. I do think as we sit here today, probably feel a little bit better about what the offense would look like with Tanner McKee over Pickett. And I think that'll be a decision that they'll try and make here this offseason.
Yeah, that's for the offseason, but I think it's very clear to everybody in the chat, all you sickos out there, let's hit that thumbs up button for MVP McKee. Tanner McKee looks like a viable NFL backup quarterback. What else has jumped out to you, aside from the speed and efficiency of all letting us get it on with our Sunday afternoons here? What else has jumped out to you about this game so far?
Yeah, I mean, look, they've worked to get Dallas Goedert the ball early and often.
Surprising.
I mean, look, two drives.
He's done, right?
Get in, get out. I got to imagine we don't see any more 88 the rest of the day. Jahan Dotson, his most productive game to date, not his most productive half, his most productive game to date in an Eagles uniform. So certainly good to see that. Good to see what he can bring to the table. And then I think defensively, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. has been really active. The Giants are it's run. That should play right into Trott's hands. And so we've gotten to see plenty of number 54 playing downhill. You see some of the other young players on defense shining as well.
Yeah, defensively, Avonte Maddox getting a little bit of run there. Jordan Davis got probably a little bit more play, but as we were talking about earlier, he doesn't gobble up a large percentage of plays. second half going forward here? Do you expect a little bit of a deeper cut here from the Eagles?
Yeah, I think you're probably not going to see Jordan Davis. We saw Milton Williams for a snap or two, but it was all the third and long. They're trying to say, all right, let's put some of those guys on ice, the guys that we can afford to. Obviously we didn't see Quinyon Mitchell, in the first half, right? So those players, you have that tier. All right, they're going to be active, but we're not going to see them. Nolan Smith in that group, Josh Sweat in that group, and then you get to the next one where it's like, you know what, we'll play a handful of snaps here or there. Maybe they get some run early. That's where Dallas Goedert is, Milton Williams, all these guys for different reasons, Jordan Davis. And then I think you're going to get to this group, and that's where it's going to be Thomas Booker, it's going to be Chuck Harris, It's going to be, obviously we've seen a lot of Trotter and Oren Burks. You get to the back end, you're seeing Tristan McCollum and Avonte Maddox. So I think that'll probably be the look of the defense for the rest of this game.
And as Jordan Seaberger astutely points out in the chat, did Bo write the title for this episode? I'll let you answer that, Jordan. What do you think?
If you had to take an educated guess on who wrote the title for this episode, something tells me you might be able to come to the right answer.
Ding, ding. Correct. Now, maybe perhaps even more interesting than the Eagles game is the outcomes of the Commanders and Packers games here. As we currently stand, the Commanders at halftime are trailing the Dallas Cowboys and Trey Lance 6-3. I've gotten some texts. I went to school in D.C. I have a couple diehard D.C. football fans, and they just said the Commanders look like absolute slop right now. Get Jaden Daniels out of there. Not worth risking them. I guess they went with a conservative kind of approach today, and it's kind of backfiring on them. I guess that tells you maybe they don't really care between the 6 and 7 seed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's you look at the decision that Sean McVay is making out west here in this game, where they still have seeding to play for, but the
road teams are kind of like, well,
at the end of the day, like, hey, you know what? If either way, we're going to be hosting a team. A good team's going to be coming to us to play. It's not worth it for us to put some of our best players at risk. We're going to have to beat good teams in the playoffs. It's not like we're playing for a bye. You're not playing for that week off. And so, look, if some players feel that way, and you come out and you don't put your best foot forward, it could be prudent to try and take some of those guys out to try and save them moving forward. Because honestly, I know I've talked with former players in the past, and it's a game where if you are playing where you're trying not to get hurt, those are the opportunities. Those are the chances where you typically do get hurt. And so that would be something that I'm sure is on the minds of a lot of people down in Washington.
And the Chicago Bears are currently up just before half there. Bears leading 14-13 over the Packers. So if both these teams lose, you're going to get the Green Bay Packers coming in here. A lot of scoreboard watching here in the second half.
Yeah, but the bigger news out of Green Bay is not even necessarily the scoreboard.
I buried the lead.
The status of quarterback Jordan Love left this game with a right elbow injury. That is his throwing arm. Questionable to return. It initially looked like it was a hand injury, but they're calling it an elbow. That certainly bears worth watching. Malik Willis has been the backup quarterback here this year. They traded for him late in training camp in the preseason. I think he's 3-0 or 4-0 as a starter this year. They do a lot of things with him as a runner, but also he's got one of the best arms in the league. People forget that Malik Willis can throw it through a brick wall. And so I think when you look at that offense, it definitely changes if Malik Willis is the quarterback coming to Lincoln Financial Field next week.
It's funny to see like Malik Willis go from the Titans to the Packers and Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. Coaching is really, really important.
No doubt.
And systems are really, really important. So you might close a book on a Malik Willis, and then you see him with a offensive-friendly system and coach, and it's like, oh, he doesn't look like he did in Tennessee.
No, I think that is absolutely, and that's what makes football great, is that there are so many factors that can determine the outcome of not just individual plays, but individual games, the pathway for players to have success or not have success. And it's certainly too early to write the book on Malik Willis.
Yeah, because part of me went like, before I realized it was Malik Willis because he had success earlier in this year when Love was hurt with that high ankle, I went, oh, give me the Packers because Malik Willis sucks. And then you were like, well, he's actually been good in Green Bay. And I was like, that's right.
But I'd still rather face Malik Willis than Jaden Daniels.
Facts.
So go back on the Malik Willis bandwagon.
And Kyle in the chat wants to know, Fran, is Jahan Dotson's performance here a factor in him not being able to blame for lack of production?
Yeah, and that's where I've been with Jahan Dotson all season long. And we could say like, oh, they need to get more production out of him. But at the end of the day, especially the fact that this is a running football team. The numbers just weren't going to be there for Jahan Dotson. It would have been tough if the Eagles maintained that formula of being a pass-first team for him to really put a dent in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith's numbers, but especially once they shifted to a heavy Saquon approach, Jahan Dotson wasn't going to sniff production numbers that were going to be worth what that trade was. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not a good player. It doesn't mean that he can't help the team. He finds other ways to impact it. It just wasn't going to show up as a receiver. And so I do think, you're seeing a little bit of what he can bring to the table when he does get those opportunities.
So the question, I guess, going forward here, 10-0, second half, close to kicking off. Do the Giants even score? It's clear. Now, look, Brian Burns played and Kayvon Thibodeau played and, some of their guys played. Malik Neighbors was out there. I don't want to give the Eagles too much credit here. It's clear the Giants don't want to win this game.
Look, they're going for it on fourth down. We saw a fake punt from the Giants in this game. Yeah,
it's good optics.
Look, they're going out there. I think they are trying to put their best foot forward. But also at the end of the day, it's what I said in the pregame show. And I just think the Eagles, even though the Eagles are playing their backups, the Eagles are more talented. It's a more talented team out there.
Tanner McKee could start for the Giants.
No question, he looks like the best quarterback on the field right now. Yeah.
So, Bo, enjoy all the revelry of Tanner McKee Day. We are going to be back for the post-game show. Vinny Curry, Bo Wolf, Zach Berman will be joining us from the stadium. Tanner McKee hasn't disproved that he's the greatest quarterback on earth yet.
He has not. He has yet to show it. So I'm sure we'll talk through the Tanner McKees to victory after the game.
So join us here on the post-game show on PHLY Eagles. All you sickos out there joining in, we appreciate you. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out of here. I think the Eagles got this one pretty safe in the balances to go to 14 wins. We'll talk about it all here on the post-game show immediately following the game. See you then.
We all silly like the mayor.